Ready. Hi, I'm Barbara Chinaki, and this is the Outside the Grid Wonder Ruler. I created the Wonder Ruler as a way to make squares, half square, and quarter square triangle units without having to remember the formulas for the seam allowances. It's a simple visual, no math method. And what's more, I have one in a 1/8 inch grid, like your standard rotary cutting ruler. And I have the first ruler on the market for quilters that is gridded in 1/6 and 1/3 inch increments. And this is to make 9 patch and 36 patch blocks in sizes other than 3 inch increments, which you cannot do with the 1/8 inch rulers. We're going to show how to use it. So let's get started. The pattern you see here on the ruler, which I call Fast Friends, is based on a 10-inch finished size 9 patch block. From here to here is 10 inches. Each of these squares is 3 1/3 inch finished size. We're going to use the 1/6 inch Wonder Ruler to cut our blocks. You'll notice the grid does not go the whole way to the end of the ruler. This is because the seam allowances are on the outside edge, outside of the grid. We're going to start by cutting our plain blocks. This little square is going to be in your upper right corner as you cut. You line your fabric up with the finished size of the block. In this case, 3 1/3 inch. Line up to the 3 1/3 inch mark with your plain block, plain square at your top right corner. Take your rotary cutter and cut. Turn, open your fabric, keeping that plain square at the top right. Line up again with the 3 1/3 and cut your squares. These are the pieces you would use for this. It's the 3 1/3 inch plus your 1/4 inch seam allowance on each side. Now to cut the blocks for your half square triangle units. A half square triangle unit has a 7/8 inch seam allowance. So on this one, you need this little square, the one that has the diagonal line dividing it in half, in your top right corner. Again, line it up with 3 1/3 inch. You use your finished size of the block. Cut your strip. Open it up, keeping that square with the diagonal line in the top right corner, 3 1/3 inch, and cut. When you cut this in half diagonally from corner to corner, you have the correct size for your half square triangle unit. Now let's go to the quarter square triangle units. That seam allowance is 1 1/4 inch, and that's the one nobody remembers. We'll take our fabric, the little square that's divided in quarters diagonally goes at your top right corner. Again, 3 1/3 inches. You'll always use the finished size. Cut your strip. Open it up and cut your squares. 3 1/3. Cut in quarters diagonally. And you have your pieces for your quarter square triangles. The other Wonder Ruler is in a 1/8 inch grid. And this is a more general purpose ruler. You use it the exact same way as this. When you're cutting your plain squares, the plain square is in the top right. Half square triangles, the square divided in half is in the top right. And quarter square triangles, the square divided in quarters is in the top right. And again, you always work with the finished width of your block. Thank you. The Wonder Rulers can be ordered through Six Gables Designs. The website is www.sixgablesdesigns.com. I'm Barbara Chinaki, and I thank you for being here.